Hey, I'm glad you're here. This channel is all about sharing interesting stories, thoughts, and videos that entertain, inspire, and sometimes surprise you. Hit subscribe, get comfortable, and enjoy the ride. The night she told me about the swingers party, I felt something inside my chest go cold. It wasn't jealousy. Not at first. It was instinct. You know that quiet, almost animal-like intuition that whispers, "This is going to change everything?" That's what it was. And I remember thinking, if she goes, we are not coming back from this. Her name was Lila. She had this effortless beauty, dark hair that fell in loose waves over her shoulders, almond-shaped hazel eyes that always looked like they were thinking 3 steps ahead, and a laugh that used to make me feel like I'd won something rare. We'd been together for 6 years. 6 solid, intertwined, mortgage-sharing, dog-parenting years. And we were not a wild couple. We were stable. Predictable. Safe. Or at least I thought we were. It started with a co-worker of hers, Jenna. Newly divorced. Mid-30s. The kind of woman who reinvents herself after heartbreak. New wardrobe. New haircut. New philosophy about living authentically. One Friday evening, Lila came home with a strange energy. Restless. Electric. She dropped her purse on the kitchen counter and said, casually, "Jenna invited us to something." "Us?" I asked. She hesitated. That was the first red flag. Okay, technically, she invited me. But couples go. I remember the way she avoided eye contact while pouring herself wine. Micro-behavior. Subtle distancing. When someone introduces a risky idea, they often soften it with ambiguity. It's psychological self-protection. If I reacted badly, she could retreat. "What kind of thing?" I asked. She took a sip first. Another red flag. Buying time. "It's a private party." I waited. She exhaled. "It's a swingers party." The word just hung there between us like smoke. I didn't explode. I didn't yell. I just felt still. Why would she think we'd be interested in that? She didn't. I mentioned once that we've never really experimented much. She just said it could be empowering. No pressure. Just open-minded people. Open-minded. That word has destroyed more relationships than cheating itself. Because here's the thing, when someone frames something as open-minded, disagreeing suddenly makes you feel small. Conservative. Insecure. I watched her face carefully. She wasn't joking. She was curious. And curiosity in a long-term relationship can be dangerous if it's not rooted in mutual exploration. Hers wasn't. It was rooted in dissatisfaction she hadn't admitted yet. "Are you unhappy?" I asked quietly. She blinked. "No." "Why would you think that?" "Because people who feel fulfilled don't suddenly want strangers in their bedroom." But I didn't say that. Instead, I said, "I'm not comfortable with that." There it was. Clear. Calm. Boundary set. She nodded, but her jaw tightened slightly. A micro-expression of disappointment. Over the next week, the subject kept resurfacing. Not aggressively. Casually. Some couples say it strengthens trust. It's about communication. We wouldn't have to do anything. We could just watch. That's how these things escalate. First it's just watching. Then it's just talking. Then it's just one experience. I'm not here to shame alternative lifestyles. Truly. But from a psychological standpoint, entering that world requires both partners to be aligned in values and boundaries. We weren't. I felt it in my bones. One night, I finally said, "If you go, it will hurt me." I didn't threaten to leave. I didn't raise my voice. I just told the truth. And here's where it gets complicated. She didn't say, "Then I won't go." She said, "I need to figure myself out." That sentence is often code for, I want to explore without accountability. The night of the party came faster than I expected. She stood in front of the mirror wearing a black silk dress I'd never seen before. It clung to her differently than her usual clothes. Intentionally. You look beautiful, I said automatically. She smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. I don't know if I'll stay long, she added. Which meant she planned to stay. As she walked toward the door, I said quietly, please don't do anything you'll regret. She paused. For a split second, I thought she might turn around. But she didn't. When the door closed, the house felt hollow. I tried to distract myself. TV. Music. Even cleaning. But my mind kept replaying scenarios. Her laughing with strangers. Her being admired. Desired. There's something primal about imagining your partner in someone else's arms. It attacks your sense of safety. Around midnight, my phone buzzed. It was her. I'm okay. It's interesting. That word again. I stared at the message for a long time before replying, come home. She didn't answer. At 2:17 a.m., I heard the front door open. She stepped inside quietly, as if trying not to wake someone, even though she knew I'd be awake. And the look on her face, that's what shocked me. Not guilt. Not shame. Confusion. Her makeup was smudged slightly. Not dramatically. Just enough to suggest tears or sweat. Her hair was messier than when she left. She kicked off her heels and leaned against the door. It wasn't what I thought, she whispered. I didn't rush to her. I just waited. She walked into the living room and sat down slowly. I thought it would feel empowering, she said. But it felt transactional. Her voice cracked. That's when I noticed her hands were shaking. What happened? I asked. She swallowed hard. At first it was just conversation. Everyone smiling. Flirting. Complimenting. It felt exciting. She paused. But then people started pairing off. And the energy changed. It wasn't about connection. It was about consumption. That word hit me. Consumption. She described watching couples negotiate each other like business deals. You're okay with this? You sure? Just tonight. Quick agreements. Quick exchanges. And Jenna? I asked. She disappeared with someone within 20 minutes. I felt anger rising, but I kept my voice steady. Did you? She shook her head quickly. I didn't sleep with anyone. Relief flooded me, but it was complicated. Did you want to? That question hung heavy. She hesitated. And in that hesitation, I learned more than I wanted. For a moment, she admitted. When this guy was talking to me, he made me feel seen. There it was. It wasn't about sex. It was about validation. She started crying then, really crying. I realized something tonight. I didn't want another body. I wanted to feel desired again. And that broke me in a different way. Because I thought I had been showing her that. But maybe I hadn't. This is where I need to be honest with you, listening right now. Long-term relationships often die quietly. Not from betrayal, but from neglect. From routine. From assuming your partner knows they're wanted without actively reminding them. Lila continued, when things escalated, I felt sick. One couple started arguing in the corner because the husband got jealous. Another woman was crying in the bathroom. She looked up at me. It wasn't freedom. It was insecurity dressed up as liberation. That sentence stayed with me. Then came the twist I didn't expect. I left, she said. But not because of that. Why? She looked ashamed. Because I saw Jenna's ex-husband there. What? He wasn't invited. He just showed up. He started yelling. Calling her names. Security had to remove him. Suddenly, it wasn't just risky. It was chaotic. I realized, Lila said softly, that this wasn't about empowerment. It was about people trying to numb pain. And here's the part that truly shocked her. When I stepped outside to get air, she continued, the guy who'd been flirting with me followed. He said I seemed hesitant. That he could help me relax. My jaw tightened. I told him I was in a relationship. He smiled and said, everyone here is. That sentence made her stomach turn. She finally understood the dynamic. Boundaries weren't sacred there. They were negotiable. I felt like prey, she admitted. She wrapped her arms around herself, as if still cold from that realization. I moved closer then. And here's where the emotional complexity deepens. I was hurt. Deeply. She had gone against my boundary. She had entertained validation from another man. But she had also come back disillusioned. And sometimes, painful experiences teach lessons that words cannot. We talked until sunrise. She admitted she'd been feeling invisible lately. Not because I was cruel, but because we'd both gotten comfortable. Predictable date nights. Predictable intimacy. I admitted I'd stopped trying in small ways. Less spontaneous affection. Less flirting. But here's the critical insight. Her solution had been external exploration instead of internal communication. That's the danger. When dissatisfaction meets curiosity without vulnerability, people seek shortcuts. And shortcuts often lead to cliffs. The next weeks were raw. Uncomfortable. Honest. We set rules. Real boundaries. We discussed fantasies, not to act on them recklessly, but to understand what they represented emotionally. For her, it wasn't multiple partners. It was novelty. Excitement. Feeling chosen again. So we rebuilt that. Not with parties. But with intention. I started dating her again. Leaving notes. Initiating intimacy with creativity instead of routine. She started expressing needs before resentment built. Trust wasn't instantly restored. That takes time. And here's my personal commentary for anyone listening. If your partner tells you something makes them uncomfortable, don't treat it like a challenge. Treat it like sacred information. Because once someone feels their boundary was ignored, a fracture forms. We were lucky. That fracture didn't become a break. But it could have. Sometimes people go looking for fireworks and almost burn their house down. Lila once told me, months later, the most shocking part wasn't what I saw there. It was realizing how close I was to losing us over something that wasn't even real. Have you ever chased something that looked exciting from a distance, only to realize it wasn't aligned with who you actually are? And if you were in my position, would you have forgiven her for going? I don't share this story to judge anyone's lifestyle. I share it because psychology doesn't lie. Motivation matters. Intention matters. And if you don't understand why you want something, you can end up somewhere you never meant to be. That night changed us. Not because she slept with someone, but because she almost did. And sometimes, almost is enough to wake you up.
Thanks for watching.
If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss what's coming next. See you in the next one.